look, your position might be, well, taxpayer dollars shouldn't go towards that type of thing. Fine, but where's it going to go instead? Because I hope MAGA's answer is not back in their wallet, because that ain't happening, y'all. You're not getting a Patriot voucher at the end of all this. All right, and they might say, well, we know, but the more of these things that they cut, the fewer taxes they have to take from us. And you know what? You're right. You're 100% right.
Sometimes you really do just have to laugh to keep yourself from going insane. And comedian, podcaster, and friend of the network, Trae Crowder, knows that all too well, having progressive values and being born and raised in the South. Because when you see what's happening in this country, when you see how blatantly the system is rigged against working people, sometimes the only thing left to do is point it out and laugh before getting right back to the fight.
Except for that whole us part, though. Us? What, like regular Americans, us? What, are you new here? We don't take care of regular hard-working people like some gay snow elf country in Europe. No, this is America. And by God, in this country, we take care of those who truly deserve it, our billionaire overlords, all right? And that's what's happening here, too. This is all aimed at just more tax cuts for the richest people in this country.
Though our country has far too many problems to count, Crowder hits on one of the most pressing and pervasive issues plaguing the vast majority of Americans. Our tax dollars are being used against us. Instead of reinvesting the ridiculous amount of wealth this country generates back into the people who actually create it, our money is funneled into the pockets of oligarchs, corporations, and grifters who are actively working to keep us struggling while they rake in record profit.
This is just like when a company lays off thousands of hardworking employees and then gives the CEO an 8-figure bonus, i.e. the type of thing that my people used to write scathing country songs and march with coal miners over, and now look at us, singing the boss man's praises and marching straight towards the cliff's edge with a smile on our face. It's a damn shame.
Crowder's message is simple. People are fed up. They know they're getting screwed, but the right has been more effective at weaponizing that frustration. Left-wing populism, the kind that used to dominate labor movements, civil rights movements, the kind that fought for fair wages and dignity for all workers, has been slowly drowned out by a version of populism that only benefits the powerful. How did that happen? When the South, especially a region built on working class struggle, that frustration was hijacked by the GOP. Instead of fighting for better wages, stronger unions, real economic justice, people were told to blame immigrants, drag queens, and public schools. And too many fell for it.
I think there's a new nemesis here that people need to think about, and that is government labor unions. These are labor unions that are formed for government employees, and then they work against the American taxpayer who's paying their salary. So a lot of these lawsuits and things where they're going to try to gum up the works and slow things down go back to government labor unions, and people ought to pay attention to that.
And they also dominate. They donate strictly to Democrats.
100%.
Dana Perino just gave the whole game away by smearing government worker labor unions as working against the American taxpayer. But this is one of the oldest tricks in the book. The right wants you to believe that your enemy is a teacher fighting for a livable wage, a postal worker demanding better protections, a federal employee trying to do their job. But let's be real, public sector unions are one of the few forces left actually working for the American taxpayer. Because when public workers get fair wages, better benefits, safe working conditions, well, that sets a standard that benefits everyone.
Congressman Vindman saying it's a reign of terror for these federal employees. How absurd is it that because you have to go to the office, they're saying you're being, they're watching you and it's a reign of terror, as if working in the office means you're subject to surveillance. These people think they're entitled to a job. They think they have the right to work from home. And it is a manufactured narrative. And these people are making themselves crazy.
And it's not just mainstream conservative networks like Fox News that have no problem demonizing tens of thousands of federal workers across the country. Ben Shapiro, Dan Bongino, the entire right-wing media machine, they all work overtime to convince working-class Americans to resent one another instead of the billionaires and corporations robbing them blind. This is by design. If you're too busy fighting your neighbor, you're not fighting the system that keeps you broke.
It's the people who take my parking money.
It's the people who take the parking money. It's the people who take the parking money. So first of all, you can cut all those people by just having an automatic parking meter like every other parking lot in America, which has had an automatic parking meter since 1972. You don't actually need, I like those people, they're nice people, but you don't actually need those people standing there and telling you it's $5 to enter the national park, to go to the Everglades or something. So this idea that you're talking about like a wildly staffed, like deeply staffed agency at the national parks, and you must shut down you have to shut down hundreds of acres because you don't have the dude who's taking the parking ticket at the front. That's an absurdity. That is ridiculous.
We're just asking you to sacrifice for a little bit for the long-term prosperity of the United States. Now's the time. We are never going to be in a golden age of politics again like we are in the next year and 11 months now. We have 2 freaking years. We're all going to take it on the chin a little bit. Rich guys, poor guys, middle-class guys, someone's going to lose their tax cut. It is time to take it on the chin. We got to fix this thing now, not tomorrow.
While MAGA media shows nothing but hatred and disgust for working class Americans who are already struggling to get by, there's one man who's not afraid to speak truth to power, Bernie Sanders. And he's not just naming names, he's exposing the entire rigged system that keeps the working class in chains, while the ultra-rich consolidate even more power.
Elon Musk is clearly running the show, the wealthiest person in the world, who has enormous conflicts of interests, who is helping to fund right-wing extremist organizations all over the world, who is looking forward to get massive tax breaks from Congress. He's running the show.
So if he's running the show, but not on paper, as they essentially argue, but you say in practice, he basically is, you're a co-equal branch of government as a senator on Capitol Hill.
I kind of thought so, but I think you have to explain that to the president. The struggle against Trump, the struggle against oligarchy, which is led by Elon Musk, the struggle against authoritarianism, the fight to make sure that the working class of this country gets a fair shake. That is not going to be won here in Capitol Hill. It's going to be won by millions of people all over this country standing up and saying, you know what? We fought and died for democracy. We're not going to move toward authoritarianism. We fought to create a country that works for all, not just the billionaire class. That's the struggle, and I'm going to be active in trying to rally the American people to do just that. At the end of the day, what these guys want and what Trump wants is to cut programs that working class people need.
You know, at the end of the day, class consciousness is the only thing that can save the American public from full-blown fascism, because that's what it is. When billionaires and corporations control the government, when working people are taught to hate each other instead of the people actually oppressing them, when the rich keep getting richer while telling you to be grateful for scraps, that's not democracy, that's oligarchy. And the only way to break free is for people to wake up and realize who the real enemy is before it's too late.